Welcome to This Week in the PNFL. I'm your host, Mark Hill, and along for the ride is Mitch Grawl and Dean Chambers. How you doing tonight, fellas?
Very good.
Doing just fine. Hello, radio audience.
All right, so before we get started, I missed all the action yesterday. Had a family event that was going on all weekend, and there was just some things that I couldn't turn away from that. So, not going into
No
details.
apologies needed, Mark. No apologies needed. You were right where you needed to be.
Yes, I
You were with
was.
your family. You were celebrating your granddaughter's first birthday.
That's right.
Got everybody in town. I've seen pictures, everybody. Mark has a beautiful family, and it looks like they
Thank you.
actually might like him. It looks like they
Yeah, they
actually might like him a little bit.
yeah they might
So
like
he
me.
was right where he needed to be.
Yeah, and my daughter finally got to see my oldest daughter that returned back from Jordan, serving overseas in the Air Force from earlier this year. So we were finally able to. I was able to herd all the cats together, so we were able to go out and spend some time together. So that was a good thing.
Speaking on behalf of the streaming audience yesterday, Mark, I guarantee you the watching your 1-year-old granddaughter dance and pull on your beard was far more entertaining than the Minnesota Washington game.
Yes,
I can speak for all the televised audience yesterday. So.
yes, indeed. She is something else. That girl wore me out trying to run behind. She's learning how to walk, so you guys know how that is. If you have kids, when they start walking, you gotta follow behind them, and then they decide they can run, and it's game on. So. All right, so from what I missed yesterday, I hear that there were some conference championship games going on. So we're going to go ahead and run through those. I know in our middle segment, Dean has some more updates regarding the PCFL. And then we're going to go ahead and go into our final game of the season, our championship game, and make our final predictions for this one going into it. So if you guys are all ready, we are going to jump right into it. So we're going to start off with the AFC Championship game. We have the New York Jets taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And looks like that was a very tight, very close game. But as they say, or as I say, the New York Jets are going to do what they do. So they ended up taking this one 38-14. We're going to start with Dean.
Did you bring your bottle today so you can tap the bottle every time someone says one of the
No. No, actually, we kind of finished that bottle off when my oldest daughter showed up Friday, and we had a party till about 2 a.m. So, yeah, that pretty much ended all that. You're up, Dean.
You can tap the empty bottle anyway.
There you go. I'll tap the empty bottle.
Yeah. Yeah, this is quite a game. This game, Pittsburgh at New York, and as you can see, it was a very high-scoring game, total 72 points. And it really looked like Pittsburgh was going to pull out the upset and go to the Super Bowl, go to what would be the first Super Bowl for this particular coach. I think maybe a past Pittsburgh team has made it to the Super Bowl, but this would be Donovan's first appearance in the PNFL Super Bowl. And at the end, the team seemed to trade scores, and just when we thought it wouldn't happen, the Jets just happened to score one more time, and they won this game, but it was tough, and they gave up 401 yards of passing, a total of 444. Most of the offense by both teams was passing. The Jets only rushed for 76 yards on 14 attempts, and the Steelers ran 19 times for 40 yards, so it was mostly passing in a pretty high-scoring game, and it definitely was not a boring game, and it got quite exciting, especially in the fourth quarter as the two teams traded scores, and the team that scored last, the Jets, ended up winning.
All right. Mitch.
Yeah, I mean, what Dean said. I mean, this was a fun game to watch. Early on, I mean, the first half of the first quarter, honestly, it looked like New York was going to run away with it. They got off to an early 14 nothing lead and was driving again, and then the Pittsburgh secondary kind of started to flex its muscles, kind of pick. They went down, scored a touchdown, and then it was back and forth for the rest of the game. As Dean said, that about halfway through the fourth quarter, Pittsburgh took that I think 34-24 lead, and you started to think, hey, this might happen. But I think I even says, all right, Donovan, this is going to be the longest 7 minutes of your life. The last half of the fourth quarter. And, I'm sure he felt that way by the end of this game. But great game by both teams. Definitely worth the watch if you have not had a chance to watch it yet. And congratulations to New York representing the AFC in the Super Bowl.
All right. I will also say congratulations to Donovan on a great season. Obviously coming up short, but don't hang your head because Thomas is, you got to pack a lunch when you go against Thomas, and clearly you did. Just, a little bit short, but hey, you definitely know the weakness and something you can build on for next season. So, again, congratulations to both teams. Next game we have over on the NFC side, we have Minnesota hosting Washington, and Minnesota is basically one step short of complete takeover of the NFC, as they ended up taking this one from Washington 21-14. Mitch.
Yeah, this one definitely didn't have the fireworks that the AFC Championship game did, but it was still a very highly competitive game. As you can see, by the score and even, just kind of glancing through the statistics, it was a very tight, hard-fought game. As we would have expected, both teams, especially Washington, very conservative, ball-controlling offense. They did hold the ball for 35 minutes of this game. They couldn't score. Minnesota's defense tightened up when they needed to. They were able to take advantage of some turnovers that allowed them to get some short fields, get some scores. And you know what? My second favorite team in the league is going to the Super Bowl. So congratulations to Barney and the Vikings.
All right, Dean.
Yeah, this game was either a clinic on how not to play offense or how to play defense pretty well, because it was a fairly low-scoring game. I remember at one point in the first half of the game, the score was 14-6 in favor of Minnesota, because Minnesota had a couple scoring drives where they scored touchdowns, and Washington had a couple scoring drives where they kicked field goals. And when you kick a field goal rather than score a touchdown, there's a missed opportunity to score points. And that probably made the difference in this game, because after it was 14-6, Washington would go on to score a touchdown with a 2-point conversion to get to 14. Minnesota will score one more time to seal the win at 21-14. So, scoring opportunities, when you get them, especially in tough defensive games like this, the winning team is the one that's more likely to turn those scoring opportunities into touchdowns rather than field goals. And that was the key difference here. Even that time of possession in favor of Washington and just slightly more total yards and better running game, all of that did make a difference when they get into the red zone 2 times and kick field goals instead of touchdowns. So that was the difference in this game. Tough break for Washington. I'm sure Jerry will be back at it next year, doing his best to be competitive and try to win another NFC East division championship. So we're on to the Super Bowl between Minnesota and the New York Jets.
All right. So again, another close game, another good game. Again, congratulations to Jerry on a great season. But Minnesota is moving on. They pretty much are the kings of the NFC this year, and one more game left, and they could be the kings of the PNFL. So we'll see what comes up with this week's games. So, as we did our quick run through all of our 2 championship games, we're going to go ahead and pivot over to our middle section. Obviously, we're going to talk about the PCFL, the new college league that's coming out. So I do believe that after, and I think Dean will make sure that he gives a little more information on this. I do believe that after the Super Bowl, then the following week we'll go ahead and jump into the PCFL. So I know there's a lot of you wants to get out regarding teams and everything else. So we're going to turn this over to Dean. Go for it.
Yeah, we're definitely moving forward, and we've made a lot of progress in getting the PCFL together. We have a website and a forum up. The website is pretty basic. We have a forum. It uses the same forum system that the PNFL uses, and the league files it together. And most of the teams are done as far as player renamings in the uniforms, and the human-owned coaches are starting to submit preseason PPVs, just like Charlie asked us to do in the offseason. And I don't know how much we covered about the league. I know I talked about it a bit in that one show, which I don't know how much listenership that one show got because it was distributed later on in that week, and we had already played the games that Friday night. It's an 18-team league. I know someone raised the question, well, why not create a smaller league? There are some issues with a smaller league. You'll have less diversity of players when you create the draft pool every year or the rookie pool. If you're creating a smaller pool of players, I mean, there's only so much variation you can do as far as having 5-star players, 4-star players, 3-star players. If you're only creating, say, like 4 quarterbacks or 5 quarterbacks in the pool of recruits, for example, it really limits. I mean, even at 18 teams, we still have somewhat limits given that you only create a certain number of 5-star players and 4-star recruits. And as far as the variety of players, the other thing is if we had like an 8-team league, all you can really do is just each team play the other 7 teams. And a standard college schedule is 12 games per season. Even a 12-team league would be, you could play the other 11 teams, and then you're still having to play someone that you've already played, which generally doesn't happen in college football except in the case of like a conference championship game. Like last year, Washington and Oregon played, and then they met in the Pac-12 championship game, and they played again. But so really to run, and the other thing is if we only had 8 or 10 or 12 teams, I don't know if you can create 10, but 8 or 12, you're really not creating a league at that point. You're creating a conference. So it'd be like you could create a college league where it's just SEC teams and have 8 or 12 of them, but that's not quite the same thing. I didn't think it would be good, and I'm not criticizing the way the XFBS was run. I know that Steve created as a 30-team league and wanted to get a lot of those teams filled, and at most of the points I was in it, we had maybe somewhere between 6 to 8 coaches and 22 or more CPU teams. Right now we have total 18. We have 7 human coach teams and 11 CPU teams, but we're working on recruiting more and hoping to get at least to half or a little more half of that filled before we start. Right. And so we're aiming to start a week after the Super Bowl and play likely 1 game per week. We have a poll on the forum asking if people would prefer to play 2 weeks and then finish earlier, but it seems like they'd rather play 1 game a week and then not mind a little bit of overlap with the first few weeks of the PNFL season. And there's a post on the forum that explains how the league files and the ratings are created. The player ratings are fairly similar to PNFL ratings, the same type of ratings. The speed is just very similar all along, all across the board. That way we can still use PNFL plays in the PCFL, although some of the other ratings are a bit low because they're college players and not PNFL players. So they're rated in the sense that if a player starts in the PCFL as a freshman and gets either 4 or 5, depending whether they do a redshirt year, training camps, and then as a senior, their ratings are going to look like, as a PCFL senior, their ratings are going to look like if they were a rookie in the PNFL draft, and that was the goal. And And I think we've become pretty close in achieving that the way the ratings are designed. And all of the teams, because all the players are put into a draft, and the computer drafted for all 18 teams. Now, the computer was a little bit uneven in some areas. Like some of the teams that probably had a few more fullbacks than we would like, but the computer was generally pretty good at adequately stocking all the different positions. So the teams are fairly well balanced. I mean, someone did an analysis of the team and ran it through, and the top team is like 7 points lower than the bottom team, and 7 points is 1%. So every team is within 99% or higher of overall talent. So it is parity as far as the talent level, and the human coaches will manage their teams going into the future with what kind of players they recruit and how they run training camp, and that will allow them to kind of shape and mold and customize their players the way they want them. So I think it's going to be a very good league. I watched some exhibition games to my teams. The scores are a little bit higher than the PCL. I don't know if that's because this game is going to give higher scores the way we rated them, or maybe just because my own defense is not very good, so my team is giving up a lot of points. I don't know which one is the answer. I don't know if anyone else has watched any exhibition games yet. But anyway, if you all have any questions, you can ask those.
Mitch, what questions do you have?
Oh no, no questions. We've, the Dean's, I think, done a nice job of kind of spelling things out for everybody, and so no questions for me. I mean, I was one that was thinking, might be easier to manage, with a smaller league size, but hey, it's not me managing. It's you, Dean. So however you want to roll with it. And like I said, I think it's going to be a interesting way to experiment with some things in the off season from a PPP standpoint, and maybe even some rules if some things come up and we want to tinker with it before it gets recommended for or proposed to the PNFL. So,
you may have noticed some of what you've been pushing for as far as player ratings in the PNFL. We've done some of that in the PCFL. There's a bit of range between 1 and 2 stars at the bottom and 4 and 5 stars at the top, and then 3 stars are kind of in the middle. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out as we watch games. Does that lead to higher scoring, lower scoring, or that's sort of a little bit of an experiment as we go forward with this as well.
Yeah.
See how that plays out. And all the CPU teams have PPPs in place, and they'll remain constant through the whole season. The CPU PPPs that I distributed, those are the ones that those teams will use. So you all can look at the schedule, and we don't have the schedule on the website yet. We don't have those reports run, but the schedule in the league files is the correct schedule. That's the schedule we're going to play. So you'll know by looking at that which, with 11 CPU teams, I think some of us are at minimum. I don't know. I didn't count, but some of us are going to play. I know I'm playing Florida the first week. That's a CPU team. So the CPU PPPs are out there to practice against and run some simulations or some exhibition games or whatever it is that you want to run to prepare for those.
I thought Justin was Florida.
What's that?
I thought
no,
Justin...
He changed to Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. I'll say one thing. I can't confirm or deny the rumor that the Headless Horseman is going to be coaching Colorado.
Oh.
Well, that would...
He's rumored to be back, though.
That would fit the real Colorado then. So,
yeah. So right now, and I got a couple questions. I'm trying to pull it up over here. So the teams, what teams do you have that are open right now? Just to give these guys update on which ones are open, and if there's a teams that are open and nobody wants that particular team, can they rename their team? So those are my two questions. Which ones are open now? And if someone says, you know what, I don't want any of those teams, can I pick something? Can I pick my own team and then use that one?
Yes, there is one person who may join and may want to switch one of the open teams to another team in that conference. It's just a preference issue. Um, this is not the team or the person involved, but if someone took Florida and said, I wanted them to be Alabama instead, we would do that. We
Okay.
just change the name and rename the players. Currently, Oregon, USC, Washington, Colorado, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Clemson, Florida State, Penn State, and then we also have the Florida Gators and LSU. Now, if someone wanted to take a team that's not there, you could, for example, take LSU and change them to Alabama, something like that. I think most of us would probably for one of the major teams gets substituted for one of these teams if someone wants a different team. I don't know that, I don't know that it makes as much sense to have like a Division III team or Division II team playing, all of these major college teams, so on. And
So you can't put a high school team up against these guys.
no, that wouldn't make sense.
All right.
I was going to switch Georgia to my alma mater, Mercer. Oh, well.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Any American, you would like to say, I want my PNFL team to be an arena football league team.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So now, what's this rumor that I thought I want to confirm this alleged rumor that I guess someone's going to make an appearance up in Colorado. I heard there was some chatter about that.
Yeah, I can't confirm or deny that the Headless Horseman is going to be back on the sidelines coaching Colorado.
Ah, okay. So he's going to be he's going to be on the Buffs. The Buffs instead of Colorado State. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. So again, there's teams out there that's available. Definitely suggest you guys go ahead and take a look and see if, there's an existing team out there that you want. If there isn't a team out there that you want, take a look and, see if there's a team that you want to relocate to. And as he was saying, preferably a D1 school, from a Power 5, and see how that works out for you guys going forward. So,
and the website is pcfl.site, S-I-T-E.
Okay, PCF. Okay, that's the actual website.
Yeah.
Okay.
PCFL instead of .biz like PNFL, it's .site, S-I-T-E.
Okay. And then you got your form and everything else that's up there, so you're good.
Yeah, there's a link there as well. The league files are there to be downloaded also.
Yep, I'm at the site looking at it right now. So, okay, guys. So I will also have it in the description, and you go to the pcfl.site. They have the forum, they have the files, everything there, league rules, coaches, and everything that's set up there. So, if you haven't joined, then definitely go ahead and join in. All right, so we are going to pivot on over to our last segment for the 2044 season. Obviously, you know what this one is. This is for the Super Bowl. We have the New York Jets taking on the Minnesota Vikings, and they are giving the Jets 7.5. We are going to start this one off with, we'll start with Dean, the NFC visitor. We'll start with Dean.
Yeah, I think we're going to have an upset in this game. I think the Vikings will prove that they can be fairly effective in scoring against the Jets defense, and I think they play pretty solid defense. And I think I'm thinking it's going to be something like a 24-18 game, maybe a win by the Vikings, but probably less than a touchdown. But I don't buy that 7.5 point spread. I'm taking the upset this weekend. The Vikings are going to win their first Super Bowl.
All right, Mitch.
Ooh, well, I picked the Vikings every game for the last 7 years, I think. So gosh, should I go against them now? Ooh, boy.
And they've beaten the
think
Jets before.
I have a feeling the Jets will find a way to win this game, just like they did against Pittsburgh this past week. But I'm going to definitely say that the Vikings will keep it within the spread. I say all this. Barney has beaten the Jets in the regular season, mind you, like 31-0 before. So, I think he's beaten them a few times in the regular season, but I have learned regular season wins aren't the same as postseason. So I'm going Jets, but I think the Vikings will cover.
What did you pick for total score and total yards in the way that Rich asked for it in the best? I picked 42 points total and 783 yards total yards of offense.
I don't even think I've picked yet. I don't think I've put all that in there yet. I don't know. It's these two teams both usually play solid defense. I could see it, under 50 points for sure combined, 45, or under, but we'll see. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet.
There's a little bit more than last week's NFC game, but definitely not as much as the AFC game from last week.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm thinking about 42 points, like something like 24-18. Yeah. What do you think, Nick? Who are you predicting? And
for me, I'm kind of like, I like watching the Vikings play this season, but as much as Mitch is on the train with the Vikings every year, I got ding, ding, ding. Jets are going to do what the Jets are going to do. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a hard fought one, but I do believe that the Jets are going to take this one. So I'm going to take the Jets. And, as far as the spread, I'll give the Vikings the spread because it's going to be a much closer game than the 7.5. My point total, I think it's going to be a high scoring one. I'm thinking total points would be, I'm predicting 31-28. So you're talking 59 points total. Total yards, I'd say about 825 yards. Total offense for both teams. I think it's going to be a high. I think it's going to be a. Well, no, I take that back. I'd say about I'd say about maybe 8, maybe 300 yards per team. About 600 yards total. 625 for both teams in yards.
Well, the 31-20 score, they might be pretty effective in their kick and punt returns. Then have some good return yards.
Yeah, they could have some good returns. You know what? Make it 715. There you go. At least I can play with the numbers. 715 total yards, both teams. And I'm taking the Jets for the victory, but I believe the Vikings are going to. I think the Vikings are going to beat the spread. So,
has any NFC team recently won the Super Bowl other than Chicago? Or I should say, who's the last NFC team not named Chicago that has won the Super Bowl in the PNFL? Anyone here know that?
Washington.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be Washington. Yeah.
Yep. So you got it out before I could say because I was pulling it up. All right. So we are going through the show real quick. This is our last broadcast of the season, of the PNFL season. I definitely want to thank Mitch and Dean and Steve for their contribution this season, for everything that they've done. I know that it was a tough slog, kind of difficult, kind of hard, and as usual, we make our little mistakes, and I've made mine plenty, but I definitely want to thank you guys for sticking with it and bringing something to entertain the coaches in the league and for the broader fans out there that listens to the show. So as we go through the round table one more time, we're going to go ahead and start off with Dean.
Well, you know that we're a week away from being in the off season once again, and for the other 10 teams that did not make the postseason, a chance to be optimistic and think that, this will finally be the year that we turn things around. But we'll see. But at least we'll all be working toward that a week from now.
Yep. Oh, and I also want to thank all of the coaches that contributed to the show, either listened to the show, joined in on the show as a guest or a fill-in when Mitch was hunkered down in his bunker. So I want to thank all of you guys as well, and thank you for participating and keeping the show going. So,
Really for joining us.
Yep.
Also.
So, yeah. Oh, and let's not forget the Discord crew last week. So, thank you guys for sticking around and joining in. So, all right. With all that said, Mitch, any final words for you? Take us home.
Yeah, it's been fun, and let's bring it strong next week. So, the only thing left to do is let's bring it.